It is Friday evening, April 10th, 2026, and this is our monthly update for the SOXL challenge. First of all, I want to celebrate reaching a $60,000 milestone for SOXL. Actually, it jumped to $67,500 today. SOXL has delivered a 230% return so far. I'm sharing my SOXL journey with you, covering the past 2 years and 4 months since December 2023. By sharing my SOXL investing journey, I hope you're motivated to start investing, save money every month for investing, and actually begin investing in any ETF of your choice to become multi-millionaires several decades later. If you're not sure where to start, just buy VOO, which is similar to SPY, or buy QQQM, which is similar to QQQ, every week. If you're young, particularly in your 20s or 30s, you'll have a much better chance to achieve this financial goal. Watch my short video titled Investing at 20 versus 30 versus 40 to understand more. You can also find money to invest by watching this video titled 10 Easy Ways to Save $1,000 a Month. Let me take you through my complete SOXL journey. I started this SOXL challenge with just $500 in December 2023. I initially invested $500 per month starting in December 2023 and continued through September 2024. Then I switched to $7,000 per year into my Roth IRA, which works out to about $600 a month, slightly higher than the previous $500 monthly amount. Let's briefly review our SOXL performance for the past 2 years and 4 months. My first SOXL video was pretty short, only 2 minutes long, published in December 2023. Then I released only one SOXL video per month until today. My second video came out in January 2024. By January 2024, I had invested about $1,000 total. I also described my SOXL performance in the video thumbnails. In January 2024, SOXL went up 4%. Then, the total return of SOXL was 37% in February 2024, 23% in March 2024, 5% in April 2024, 28% in May 2024, and 37% in June 2024. Then came the downturn, -9% in July 2024, -8% in August 2024, and -10% in September 2024. You're probably wondering why my SOXL return of 37% in June dropped to -9% in July. Here's what happened. Nasdaq and SOXL plunged during July through September 2024, particularly experiencing a sharp correction in early August. This crash was mainly due to a rapid unwinding of the yen carry trade, where investors had borrowed cheaply in low-interest yen to fund purchases of high-return U.S. tech stocks. This unwind was triggered by the Bank of Japan's surprise rate hike on July 31st, combined with a weak U.S. July jobs report that sparked recession fears. This prompted forced selling of Nasdaq-heavy assets like mega-cap tech stocks amid stretched valuations and rotation out of AI leaders. At that point, I realized I had missed a huge opportunity to buy SOXL at very cheap prices during the plunge from July through September 2024. So I changed my SOXL strategy from investing a fixed amount of $500 a month to a variable amount of $7,000 a year into my Roth IRA. In this new approach, I can buy more when SOXL is cheap and I can buy much less or not at all when SOXL is expensive. This strategy change was absolutely pivotal, allowing me to buy significantly more SOXL shares later in spring of 2025 when SOXL plunged even harder. Starting with the October 2024 video, you can now see $7,000 challenge and SOXL surge strategy in thumbnails. In October 2024, SOXL still had a -16% accumulative return. In November and December 2024, I did not include SOXL returns in thumbnails. From January 2025 onward, I included my current market value of SOXL. In January 2025, my total investment in SOXL was $14,500. In February 2025, the total value of SOXL dropped significantly to $13,500. Nasdaq and SOXL plunged during January through February 2025 because a sudden AI trade sell-off hit megacap tech and chips, especially after DeepSeek rattled confidence in the cost and competitive mode of U.S. AI leaders. Even bigger threats were coming in March and April 2025. Nasdaq and SOXL plunged during March through April 2025 mainly because tariff shocks and trade war fears hit growth stocks hard, especially semiconductor stocks. In March 2025, SOXL went down significantly from $13,500 to $11,700. In April 2025, SOXL dropped even further to $10,500. From July 2024 to April 2025, SOXL lost about 90%, crashing from $70.08 all the way down to $7.23. However, my SOXL market value did not lose even 50%. Why? Because I bought massive amounts of SOXL while it was extremely cheap. The reason I invest in SOXL is due to its high MDD, or maximum drawdown. I was able to lower my average cost of SOXL significantly during the spring of 2025, which produced enormous unrealized returns later in 2026. You can now see that my SOXL market values were climbing from May 2025 onward, even though I haven't bought any SOXL since April 2025. In May 2025, SOXL jumped significantly from $10,500 to $14,200. In June 2025, SOXL surged dramatically from $14,200 to $22,100. In July 2025, SOXL was $21,700. In August 2025, SOXL was $22,900. In September 2025, SOXL rose significantly from $22,900 to $29,000. In October and November 2025, I did not include SOXL market values in thumbnails. Then we hit the milestone of $30,000. In December 2025, SOXL jumped significantly to $36,800. In January 2026, we celebrated two major milestones, $40,000 and $50,000. SOXL climbed significantly to $53,200 in January 2026. In February 2026, SOXL increased from $53,200 to $56,600. In March 2026, I did not include SOXL market values in the thumbnail. Finally, today in April 2026, we hit another major milestone of $60,000. In April 2026, SOXL has jumped significantly to $67,500. For some people, $60,000 might not seem like a lot of money. However, for me, this $60,000 is a stepping stone toward multi-millions and powerfully demonstrates the power of compound interest over 30 years. SOXL closed today at $76, marking a massive jump from last month's $50. The volatility has been absolutely intense. SOXL crashed down to $39 on March 30th. After touching the SMA 200 green line, it shot up straight for the past 8 days. For the past 3 days, SOXL has been jumping like a kangaroo, partly due to some short squeeze activity. If you bought at $40 on March 30th, you made about 90% return within just 8 days. Looking back at the bigger picture, we saw SOXL peak at $74.21 on January 4, 2022, followed by the devastating crash to just $6.21 on October 13, 2022. Then we saw SOXL peak at $70 on July 11, 2024, followed by that brutal crash to just $7.23 on April 7, 2025. The recovery that followed was absolutely remarkable. SOXL climbed all the way to around $72 not once, not twice, but 3 times. First on January 29, 2026, second on February 12, and third on February 25, 2026. Each time it failed to break above the previous 2022 peak of $74. Then SOXL plunged to $39 during the Iran war crisis. Finally today, SOXL surpassed the previous January 2022 peak of $74. It took only 4 years and 3 months to reach a new all-time high. This teaches us a powerful lesson: SOXL will eventually post new all-time high prices if we're willing to wait for 4 years or more. From this SOXL daily chart at Finviz, the characteristic pattern is crystal clear: high volatility within a strong medium to long-term rising trend. SOXL now trades above all resistance lines, including its SMA 20, SMA 50, and the double top lines. In last month's video, I predicted that SOXL would eventually push above the $72 double top line in the next few months. I'm thrilled that SOXL broke through the $72 double top resistance line today. Let's examine the SOXX daily chart in detail. Unlike SOXL, SOXX has been posting new all-time high prices almost every month for the past 6 months. If you don't like the extreme volatility of SOXL, SOXX is an easier, more comfortable investment option as SOXX keeps steadily climbing. SOXX reached an all-time high of $388 today. For those new to the channel, SOXL is a triple leveraged ETF that magnifies the daily movements of SOXX, which tracks leading U.S. semiconductor companies. As of today's close, SOXX sits significantly above both the SMA 50 purple line and the SMA 200 green line. Looking at the timeline, SOXX broke above the SMA 50 purple line on May 6, 2025, and successfully cleared the SMA 200 green line on June 4, 2025. Since the Golden Cross, SOXX has slipped below the SMA 50 purple line 4 times, in September, November, December, and March. Each time, SOXX was able to reclaim the SMA 50 purple line before testing the SMA 200 green line. We witnessed the Golden Cross formation on July 8, 2025, when the SMA 50 purple line crossed above the SMA 200 green line. The previous Golden Cross occurred back in January 2023, and that signal launched an incredible 18-month rally. If history repeats itself, we potentially have 9 months of upside remaining, lasting until January 2027. On this weekly chart, SOXX has maintained its position above the SMA 20 black line since May 2025, demonstrating remarkable strength. Even more impressive, SOXX has stayed above the SMA 200 green line most of the time since November 2010. I fully expect this bullish pattern to continue for many more years. Now let's talk about what happened in the markets in April. The U.S. stock market, particularly the Nasdaq and semiconductor sector, experienced a powerful upswing driven largely by geopolitical easing and accelerating AI-related chip momentum. The Nasdaq surged on April 8 following a U.S. Iran ceasefire that dramatically boosted investor sentiment and lifted tech shares broadly, with semiconductor makers jumping more than 5% amid reduced supply chain risk. Semiconductor stocks showed notable strength across the board. Intel rallied sharply after joining Elon Musk's Terafab AI chip initiative. Broader semiconductor forecasts also turned increasingly bullish, with analysts projecting 2026 global chip revenue to exceed $1.3 trillion, fueled by AI compute, memory price inflation, and hyperscaler infrastructure spending. This powerful combination of geopolitical relief, AI-driven enthusiasm, and strong individual chip stock catalysts helped propel the Nasdaq and semiconductor names to standout performance. Now let's review my current holdings. I'm not adding new shares this month since I've already invested $20,420 during the first 2 years of this challenge. Going forward, I'm sticking to my plan of approximately $7,000 in annual investments. In my Roth IRA, I'm holding 354 shares at an average cost of $24.71. The current value is approximately $27,200 with unrealized gains of about $18,400, representing an amazing 211% return. My individual taxable account holds 525 shares with a current market value of approximately $40,300 with unrealized gains of about $28,600, representing a phenomenal 245% return. Combined, that's 879 total shares worth about $67,500, significantly up from last month's $44,300. The combined unrealized gains total about $47,000 by investing a combined total of $20,420, representing a spectacular 230% return. My core philosophy hasn't changed one bit. I will buy and sell based on the SOXL surge strategy, a term I coined based on the semiconductor sector's pronounced business cycles. It's a long-term swing approach tied to SOXX trends. Looking at the historical pattern on this weekly SOXL chart, major dips appear every 2 to 3 years. We had $4.33 in March 2020, $6.21 in October 2022, and $7.23 in April 2025. Similarly, we observe peaks every 2 to 3 years with $74 in December 2021 and $70 in July 2024. The pattern clearly shows that major dip prices trend higher in each cycle, rising from $4 to $6 to $7. I also expect the peak price in this current cycle will be substantially higher, possibly $122 or even beyond. In this current cycle, I may look to sell SOXL when SOXX reaches about $500, or in October 2026, whichever comes first. Even if I sell, I may only sell a portion of SOXL, maybe 30% to 50% of my shares, since SOXL will eventually keep climbing higher. Then I will buy SOXL again later at a lower price. Of course, this target and timing can be adjusted as market conditions evolve. For more details on my 2026 exit plan, check out my short video titled SOXL $122 Target. My 2026 exit plan. Despite the volatility we're experiencing, my conviction in semiconductors remains rock solid. AI, cloud computing, and high-performance computing are still in the early innings of a massive transformation. Patient investors who stay disciplined through the inevitable ups and downs will likely be rewarded with substantial long-term capital appreciation. That's your April SOXL Challenge update. We're in this for the marathon, not the sprint. If this update added value for you, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Stay disciplined, stay patient, and keep building that wealth mindset. I'll catch you next month. Peace out, SOXL family.